Hello and welcome. This is Notibot ENG. Tonight, we bring you a special news recap on the latest developments in the Middle East. The US has announced an end to its war with Iran, but tensions remain high as the country vows to protect its nuclear capabilities. We'll also explore alternative routes for Gulf states to reduce their reliance on the Strait of Hormuz. Additionally, the UN warns that the conflict is crippling humanitarian aid in Sudan and threatening food security in Asia. Let's dive into these stories and more. According to sources, a sudden shift in rhetoric from the Trump administration has led to a surprising claim about the status of ongoing military operations. According to a senior Trump administration official, the military operation against Iran has been deemed terminated due to a ceasefire deal reached between the US and Iran. This comes as Friday marks 60 days since the administration formally notified Congress of the conflict on March 2nd. The ceasefire was agreed upon following intense diplomatic efforts led by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and other senior officials. The deal involves a significant reduction in tensions between the two nations, with both sides agreeing to withdraw their military forces from certain areas. The War Powers Resolution, passed in 1973, requires the president to notify Congress within 60 days of deploying troops into combat situations. In this case, the administration's notification was seen as a procedural step rather than an indication that hostilities were still ongoing. By labeling the operation terminated, the Trump administration is effectively sidestepping any further congressional oversight or debate on the matter. This move has raised eyebrows among lawmakers and critics who argue that it undermines the War Powers Resolution and sets a troubling precedent for future military engagements. The implications of this decision are significant, as it suggests that the U.S. may be willing to bypass traditional checks and balances in order to pursue its foreign policy objectives. As tensions between the U.S. and Iran continue to ebb and flow, one thing is clear. The administration's actions will have far-reaching consequences for global politics and international relations. As tensions continue to rise globally, Iran is now pushing back against international pressure over its military capabilities at a critical time. Iran's supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei has vowed to defend the country's nuclear and missile capabilities in a statement released on Thursday. The move comes as tensions between Iran and the U.S. reach a boiling point, with President Donald Trump warning that Iran must relinquish its nuclear ambitions in order for a deal to be made. In his statement, Khamenei said that Iran will guard its technological advancements like it guards its maritime, land, and air borders. He also directed a warning to the U.S., suggesting that American bases and troops in the region are not secure enough to protect themselves. The statement coincided with Iran's National Persian Gulf Day, which marks the country's control over the strategic waterway. The impasse in stalled negotiations between Iran and the U.S. means that the situation remains unresolved. President Trump has been critical of Iran's inability to reach a deal, saying they don't know how to sign a non-nuclear deal. He warned that Iran must get smart soon or face further consequences. The statement from Khamenei has raised concerns about the potential for conflict between the two nations. As tensions escalate, the U.S. is expected to brief President Trump on potential military options this afternoon. Admiral Brad Cooper, commander of U.S. Central Command, will lead the briefing, according to reports. This development comes as oil prices surge to a 4-year high, with major producers such as Saudi Arabia and Russia signaling that they will not cut production despite the increasing demand. The global economy is watching the situation in Iran closely, as it has implications for energy markets and international relations. As tensions escalate in the Middle East, nations like Saudi Arabia and Oman are exploring alternative shipping routes to reduce dependence on the Strait of Hormuz. The Iran war and its impact on global oil supplies has brought the world's attention to alternative routes for energy trade. 2 months into the conflict, the Strait of Hormuz remains mostly closed, with vessel traffic at a fraction of pre-war levels. The patchwork of ceasefires, blockades, and reclosures since February 28 have failed to restore confidence in the area. The East-West Pipeline, also known as Petroline, has emerged as a crucial bypass infrastructure. Built in the 1980s, this pipeline runs across Saudi Arabia and was originally designed to carry oil from the Red Sea port of Yanbu to European markets. In 2019, its capacity was expanded to 7 million barrels per day, but analysts estimate that less oil is currently flowing through it than its theoretical ceiling. The pipeline's loading terminals in Yanbu were not designed to handle such high volumes, and the subsequent surge in oil flow has put a strain on the summed pipeline, which connects Egypt to Europe via the Suez Canal. Although oil flows through this pipeline have surged by 150% since the start of the war, its small capacity remains a bottleneck for European supply. The Iranian government's targeting of Petroline highlights the critical role this pipeline plays in global energy trade. Iran has long sought to disrupt oil supplies to Western nations and has used various tactics to achieve this goal. The current conflict and resulting disruption to oil exports have brought attention to alternative routes, such as the East-West pipeline, which will be crucial for maintaining global energy supplies in the coming months. The United Nations has announced a significant escalation in humanitarian efforts in Sudan as conflict with neighboring Iran takes its toll on the country's aid situation. The United Nations has reported that the ongoing Iran war is causing significant disruptions in the delivery of humanitarian aid to Sudan. According to Carlotta Wolf, spokesperson for the UNHCR, the Iran conflict has resulted in increased instability along key Gulf corridors, including the Strait of Hormuz. This has led to port congestion and rising fuel prices, as well as higher insurance premiums. As a result, transport costs for moving relief supplies from Dubai to Sudan have more than doubled, rising from $927,000 to $1.87 million. The journey time for aid shipments that were once able to travel directly from Dubai through the Gulf is now often rerouted from Europe via the Cape of Good Hope, adding up to 25 days to the delivery time. The UNHCR describes Sudan's conflict-driven emergency as the world's largest displacement crisis, with millions relying on aid. However, mounting delays and escalating costs are having a significant impact on the effectiveness of this aid. People in dire need are receiving essential supplies that were once delivered in a timely manner, but are now being delayed. The situation is particularly concerning given the scale of the crisis in Sudan. The country's conflict has displaced millions of people, with many struggling to access basic necessities like food and water. The delays and increased costs associated with aid delivery are having a disproportionate impact on those who need it most. As tensions escalate with global powers, a potentially devastating conflict in the Middle East is now being felt far beyond the region's borders. The conflict in Iran has sent shockwaves across the globe, and one of its most significant impacts is being felt by farmers across Asia. The United States and Israel's strike on Iran on February 28 led to a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, a crucial waterway for international trade. This has resulted in a severe shortage of fertilizers, essential for crop production, reaching major markets. The war has disrupted the supply chain of urea, the most commonly used nitrogen fertilizer worldwide. The price of urea has skyrocketed by over 40% within weeks of the conflict starting. Countries that heavily rely on imports from the Persian Gulf region, such as Thailand and Vietnam, are now facing a critical shortage. China, which produces and exports a significant portion of global fertilizers, has also stepped in to restrict its own exports. Last year, China accounted for 25% of global fertilizer output and exported over $13 billion worth of it. However, with the latest restrictions, farmers will be severely impacted. The decision made by China is also seen as an effort to protect its domestic market. The consequences of this shortage are far-reaching. Farmers across Asia, such as Suchart PM Sambun in Thailand's Chachoengseo province, are being forced to make difficult decisions about planting their crops. With fertilizers becoming increasingly expensive and unreliable, many are opting not to plant at all. This could have significant implications for global food security, particularly given the region's reliance on rice as a staple crop. That's all for today's news recap. Thank you for watching. If you want to stay up to date on the latest developments, be sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media. We'll keep bringing you in-depth analysis and expert insights on global events. Until next time, we'll see you in the next video.